Welcome to the CMC 22 Lord Channel. A blessed day and good afternoon to each and everyone watching us today. We are here to discuss domestic violence in the country and in the world at large against women and against the men. Does domestic violence only mean it is to affect the women, or it affects the men as well? We shall get more of those insights from the legal personnel who I'm hosting today on the show and see how far we go about it. Join us, subscribe, like, and share the content of this channel. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lenny Frank, and I'll be the moderator for this discussion on domestic violence. I believe where we come from, each and everyone has first seen and experienced domestic violence at least once in their lifetime, regardless of the communities we come from. And I would like to understand what are the causes of this, what are the effects on the child, in case there is any, in a domestic setting in this place. Generally, what is it that comes about with domestic violence? Is it something that we would like to uphold in our communities? Is it something that we would like to do away with in our communities? We need to get to see the sides of domestic violence. Is it only towards the women as the wrong, or it's towards the men as well, or it pushes to the children, to the uncles, and everyone in a home setting? In the meantime, my guests will introduce themselves as we kick into the discussion and get to understand what domestic violence is. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. My name is Wabu Bashir, and I'm a guest here today to speak about the topic that was put across by the moderator, and it is going to be my pleasure to deliberate more on the same.
You're welcome, Bashir. I think it's the second time I'm having you.
Yeah, thank you.
It's always a pleasure having you around.
Thank you very much.
So I think the gentleman next to you as well. I've seen him before. I don't want to introduce him myself, but it's an interesting when it comes to the discussions we usually have.
Good afternoon to you all. By the names of Innocent Salagao, and I'm happy to be part of this discussion today to discuss the topic as elaborated on by the moderator. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, watching CMC 2022. My name is Diana Hamala. I'm going to be a speaker on the topic of domestic violence. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for coming, Diana.
Rahman Muhammad Ali, I'm Farouche. I'm here to air out some view about the itching issue, that is domestic violence, and I'm glad that I was a member. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. When you say you're called Muhammad Ali, my mind ran to the world's most famous boxer in the world. That is the great Muhammad Ali. However, let's get into the discussion of today. What is domestic violence? What amounts to domestic violence? Let me begin with that, because this thing we're discussing usually affects the women quite more than the men. I don't know why it is. Why it is like that? Is it because we're a patriarchal community, era? I don't know. What is your view? What is domestic violence?
Just to put you right, the domestic violence right now does not only affect women. Actually, there are pockets of men undergoing domestic violence, and it's high time we had a campaign on the same to define domestic violence. In Uganda, the Domestic Violence Act 2010 defines domestic violence. That's under section 2. It goes ahead to define it. It includes endangering, injuring, harm on a person.
Will you repeat that? Will you come again on that?
Can I come again on that? Okay. Section 2 of the Domestic Violence Act 2010 defines domestic violence to include, among others, injuring a person, endangering their life. It could amount to coercion, and it further goes ahead to state that domestic violence does not only include physical harm, but it also includes economic harm. It also includes mental harm.
So domestic violence apparently affects all the aspects of humanity, not only the physical endangerment, physical harm.
Yes.
Okay. That is quite interesting. To the gentleman next to you, it comes to what really causes this domestic violence. What is it that propels people to fighting? I suppose it's like, it is similar to fighting, no? I suppose it is a conflict kind of thing. What puts people to conflict?
Thank you very much for this opportunity to answer. But just to go back to what my colleague earlier on put across, domestic violence does not only affect women and all the men in the home, but according to that particular definition, domestic violence also even affect the children within the home and even the servants within the home. Because all those people are part of what we call as a domestic relationship. So to come back to your question, just for the causes of this, there are so many causes of domestic violence, and the commonest one is.
I don't know why you're laughing, but the topic we're discussing is similar to a sad topic.
The commonest is poverty. Poverty. Because someone will wake up, the children will wake up in the family and ask for rent, and the dad will what? Will have to answer and tell them that, you know what, for me I grew up while eating potatoes, so I cannot give you that. And the next thing you will see is the what? A slap over the child is what? So poverty is one of the leading causes. And then when you go to some places, particularly, I don't want to say village places, but even denial of sex can cause domestic violence, because the man will come back and say, I want it, I feel I have a right.
I mean, I thought marriage is like more of a constant thing where you agree that today I'm not. How would that come about? And how does it bring something to do with domestic violence? Because, for example,
domestic violence does not only cover fighting, but also goes on to reach what you call as sexual abuse. So if your partner is not in the mood and you harass them sexually, that is also a way of what? Domestic violence. So the husband will come back and the wife will say, today I'm not in the mood, today I'm sick, I'm not feeling okay. And the next thing we will see is, the entire pay the cows, so I'm demanding for this.
So the one has to get 100% out of his cows.
Yeah, he feels it deserves to get it.
Interesting.
So to add on some more causes is any differences between these people that are staying together. The wife is, you may find that maybe in some scenarios, the wife is 20 years younger compared to the what? To the husband. And the wife will say, I want to go for Chameleon's concert. You want to invite town. The husband will say, but we are too mature for that. Why should we go? The next thing you will see these people exchanging words, and we are all agree that even emotional, verbal, and psychological abuse is a form of what?
Domestic violence. Well, that's an interesting insight on the causes of domestic violence. However, one thing we've gotten to learn so far is how broad this thing is. It is not something that is as slight as it looks like in the eyes of everyone else out there who doesn't actually agree to Section 2 of the Domestic Violence Act of 2010. However, when we understand this, I believe most of us here all of us here from different communities. I hail from Arua. I suppose my brother here is from Kampala or Masaka. My brother there should be from Budaka or Tiringi. Diana should be from Bududa or Mbale. Almush should be from Kenya or Somalia or Mogadishu. The bullet, I will call it of Africa. Well, yes, Almush, what is it like in Somalia? Bring us in, feed us in with the places where you come from. You're not off
Somali and proud one.
How do they greet in Somalia?
Center.
You're not from Somalia, you are. Well, let's proceed. Let's go ahead and see.
When I try to relate to domestic violence, to my understanding, it all comes around the superiority complex, the issue to deal with male dominancy. You know, there are different causes, as we said, one of them would be poverty, But I argue that it's not only poverty, because there are, yes, it is one of the good ones, but I believe there are more other causes. And I suppose one of them is physical superior. So sometimes when she wants to tell him something and something to do with his behavior, he is rude.
Somalia is an Islamic country, which clearly has a line between the men and the women.
It is not that thick though. There are some ups and downs, but still, because of the developments that we're going through, we're having them now in every activity. And that is now one of the causes. A man who believes he's dominant, you will not tell him that this is your wife, a matter of your children. She might want him to be different, and he wants her to have something different, and a conflict arises. So that is one big issue. The other one I would call is the personal behavior. If someone is short-tempered, and when you get to stay with someone for so long, you end up kind of used and you get tired of each other, so
they irritate you.
Exactly. So it means it gets a serious man, a true gentleman, to always lower his voice to his inferiors.
Are you kind
I'm
of
a good one.
Well, we cannot tell about that. And let me come closer to my right. I usually love this man's submissions, and I already want to give him the trickiest to answer, because not only he submits from a perspective of a low, how do I place it? Someone in the law field, but also someone who has been in a marriage like about True. So, Mr. Bashir, when we look at domestic violence, we have seen instances in Uganda whereby the women are more vulnerable to this thing. And we have also been able to see a few cases whereby the men are more vulnerable to this. And actually, it happens that men suffer a lot of the non-physical domestic violence as compared to what the women are suffering. No wonder on Twitter, everyone is fearing women. People are really out, they're having their heads over heels over this thing of fearing women. So, what is it like? Is it majorly male violence, female violence, or the children? Who is being violated at the expense of the other more? Because, this thing is broad. It's not as simple as we see it.
Yeah, true. Judging from the statutory definition of domestic violence, I would like to say practically it is an exchange of violence where one will physically violate the other and the other might mentally, economically violate the other in exchange. So we give now the attention to the person who runs to police first. You get? But I would like to add on what my other colleagues have said. There is also a factor that some of these people are coming from families that have history of domestic violence.
So domestic violence flows in the DNA.
Exactly, and these people, they have no alternative of solving issues that come their way apart from using the violence. Because some even have, some can give testimony that violence has helped keep families together. As I've been growing up, fortunately enough, older than the other panelists. Very, very, very sure, 100% sure. From those past years, domestic violence has been something that even when it happens, people don't even want to talk about it. You get? And some even go ahead and ask for it. You get? But now there comes an era where there is male dominance, like he has said, that is having women emancipation rubbing shoulders with it to see which supersedes the other. And this is now where we get the problem. But if in a family whereby a man wakes up and goes to fend for the family for over 10 12 working hours. And now this man returns to a family where he has a wife. And this wife, you know, I would like to say this wife cost him, because this is an era of bride price and not dowry. So this wife cost this gentleman, yes,
Constrained.
yes, a fleet of around 5 Range Rovers, a container full of household property, and something like 70 plus cattle, heads of cattle. And now,
Look at that financially, that's about over 500
nowadays,
for a marriage.
yeah, their worth is as cheap as 500, 600 million. So
I don't know if you need to retract those words.
I don't retract it because
Diana is smiling with
because I interacted with a lady sometime, and she says, you know, I tell her now, but if they give you mahari of around 5M, she says, am I that cheap? Implying her worth is tuned to the mahari she's given. So I was not surprised. But now this gentleman comes home to that wife, and like he said, this wife denies him the conjugal rights. You get it? But now this wife now expects this man to come back with the caveira, like they call it in the local language. You get it? So she expects this man to come back with something at home. So now you see where my view of the exchange of violence now comes in. This woman has already violated this gentleman by denying him the conjugal rights. And what will this gentleman go and do? The next friend will be Torero, and when Torero becomes the friend, Torero will
doing the marketing.
No, sorry. Okay. Yeah. And then now when this man comes home, he will do the revenge, and which will be now the domestic violence. So it has been an exchange of violence. Yeah.
Well, as we have seen, it's majorly an exchange of violence cropping from one's actions towards the other, and then the next step, the next stage, and eventually it will end up in physical domestic violence, which began from the mental domestic violence when the man had just come from work, and then he's trying to. Okay, let me leave that. Let's go on to the next question. If you look at it in an African setting, as earlier on mentioned by Bashir, that women advocate for this. There are sayings among the Basoga that if a man doesn't beat you, he doesn't love you, and women want their men to love them. They crave for it. What is it like having our culture vis-a-vis domestic violence? What does the culture say on this thing? Let me ask Diana to say something about it. Is she that kind of lady who asks to be beaten, or is she that kind of lady who stands up and is like, no, you're not beating me? What is your view, Diana?
My view is I don't subscribe to domestic violence, and never at once will I stay silent if someone abused me domestically in a time to come. Yeah, but with the issue of the Basoga, I don't know how true that is, because society is now emancipated. These women know their rights. We all know our rights, and I don't think that it still holds water. Right now, everyone has a right. Our own constitution does not promote torture and the violence, so I don't think it still has a place in society. Society is changing, and it's time we put an end to domestic violence. Yeah.
Then the culture aspect?
The culture aspect. My culture is a bit different. We don't subscribe to that. Yeah, we don't subscribe
What
to that.
happens when the woman goes against the orders of the man?
And the woman goes against the orders of
And
the
she
man.
acknowledges having.
Actually, recently, I don't know if many of you, just a week back, I'm from Bududa, there was some issue that happened. This woman got some money, and the husband felt like she has gotten more than him, and she went to Kenya. So when the relatives of the lady came in, that was a gentleman and a lady, the guy cut them and strangle them, which was so bad. But that shows that, like he rightly put it, that men want to be on top of women. So he felt like the woman is going to do better, and he decided to revenge it on her family members, which is very bad. Yeah.
That's really so sad.
Yeah, so we are not promoting such things. If culture is promoting such aspects, then we're going to have a lot of these cases coming up. People are going to kill one another, all in the name that, you know, the man is superior, he should beat me up, which is not right.
Well, what efforts is the government putting in place to see that there's an end to domestic violence? Yes, Council.
I would not like to speak on the perspective of a religion, though I can give you some little insight about it. According to my religion, which is Islam, a woman is always taken care of. You know, when she's a sister at home, as the parents' place, she's always under the father. She at no point has the right to use her money to spend on her rights, on her basic, maybe most of the basic rights. If the father has died, for instance, the brother comes in. If the brother is also not there and she's married, the husband always comes in. Yes, so they are always, and always Islam emphasizes protection of the woman and the girl child in many verses, and I will not be able to cite them here, but it's more protective to the female, and it emphasizes many times. Just like if we can take, for instance, in the Prophet's time, he would father even come home and do the house chores with the wife. That's how far he would take care of the women. So Islam is never advocating for domestic violence. And
Same Islam teaches us that when the woman does something wrong, wipe them, whip them.
yes,
What does that mean?
It doesn't mean beating.
What's whipping?
Whipping, it says you get a soft, maybe a cloth. You know the turban? Yeah, you sometimes use a turban, but the word as it says, it doesn't mean what it says, you know?
It
Sometimes
doesn't
the
mean
religion aspect.
what it says. What do you mean to say?
You know, religion, when you interpret a religion, it's kind of tricky. You might say something, and the interpretation is quite different. So that means, yeah, when they say wipe her, it doesn't mean beat her. No, you can, if you're a married man, take leave from home. Yes.
You know, Islam has the Quran and Hadith. People were reporting the actions of the Prophet. And now the actions of the Prophet, we believe, are divine. Whatever he did was a direction from God. So when God told him that if they behave that certain way, whip them, and the Prophet put that in practice by using a soft cloth, say, a turban, to wipe. The essence in it was like, it would seem as if it is wiping, but in actual sense, they are playing.
It would seem as if
He is wiping, but in actual sense, they are playing. Imagine if you are the wife, and your husband is so annoyed, and he picks a turban, and he's wiping, you will be even laughing and saying, now what is he doing? You see, now that smile will bring a lot of things back home. You get it? Even the husband who was annoyed, maybe he was annoyed because he has taken a lot of time seeing other people smile, and you never smile. So it might soothe his mind, soothe his heart, and become passionate again.
So what has the NRM government done in the fight against, okay, not necessarily the NRM government, any other government? What have governments in the world done to put an end to domestic violence? Yes, Innocent.
Actually, in my perspective, the government has less to do in the fight against domestic violence. Just as currently in my country, the only deliberation by the government is to put up a law which even has a weaker punishment, which is a fine of 42 Canadian points, which is some small money someone can afford, as long as he knows he's not going to prison. even imprisonment is a period of less than 2 years, which is a bit what? Smaller compared to the effects of what? Of domestic violence. Like imagine a case whereby someone takes another person's life in a domestic what?
Well, that's treated as domestic violence or
No, it
individual
is
violence.
a murder case, but at the same time, we are looking at it as an effect from domestic violence. So the government has just to put up laws, but then the major purpose or the major role to play is on what individuals themselves.
But the same government has set up a family unit of the police. The same government has financed NGOs to preach against domestic violence. It has developed anti-poverty things so as to end the root cause to domestic violence. What do you mean by the government has less?
See,
Is that less?
you look at most of the measures being put up by the government, it's like they come after seeing the effect.
Okay.
The government will not be there in the bedroom when the wife or the husband is slapping what the other. They will only wait to see someone with a swollen what eye, and then they run and say, now you take this person to the family division of the police, as you say. But then the onus is on the people within the family themselves. How should we go about what? So the major role is on the individuals themselves in what? A domestic relationship. Majorly, let me say the parents. My emphasis should be the parents. Please, when the parents are fighting, try as much as you can. If you can't control the fight, try to fight inside the bedroom, away from the children. Because these are the children that are going to copy whatever you're doing or whatever they are seeing you do, and they do it tomorrow to their wives, to their husbands, to their children. And also, even the government should do, like the parents within a home or the individuals within a home should learn to solve their problems maturely instead of abusing each other in front of children, fighting when the children are seeing. See, a child comes from school expecting to find lunch or supper and then do their homework and prepare for tomorrow. But they enter the house and see cups flying all over because daddy and mommy are fighting. So the next thing is for them to hide under the cupboard or the bedroom. And before they realize it is morning, they didn't do their homework, they didn't iron, they didn't polish their shoes, so they have to go backward to school the following day, disorganized like that. And the last thing you will see is this child maybe in school because maybe the father is annoyed with the mother, so he says I will not pay the tuition. So please, some of those things have to be solved in the home maturely. The government has less to do with domestic violence.
And if you look at this domestic violence from a far perspective or a nearer perspective, do we agree to the notion that everything that causes domestic violence majorly enroots from economic purposes? I mean, economic reasons, apparently, and then a little will come out of domestic issues, say the bedroom affairs, say whatever. I think that's the only thing. What's your perspective, Councillor Bashir?
You know, the funny thing is, I have been keenly following. We have been speaking about domestic violence and we are leaving out the children. Okay, and nowadays, it will not make it a month without a child that has been brutally treated by the parents within the family comes to the news. The children too are also affected. But going back to your question, you know, right now, since the domestic violence is within, the domestic bit of it is directed to mean a home or a family setting. You know, when people are going to make a family or a home, people marry because of different reasons. And people want to cohabitate, if I may say, for different reasons. And once they don't now meet the reasons for why they went there, they would want to opt out. But again, opting out is difficult because it means now you're going back to the world that you are fighting to live. Okay, so, like you said, if you are looking at where to start from, we should not point the blaming finger to the government, because I think this is something that is ethical. And I remember once Miriam Matembe, when she was a minister of ethics, she urged women to go out there and learn Kung Fu. Is it Kung Fu? Or something like that, for self-protection. So I'm here asking myself, now what happened to those women who learned Kung Fu for self-protection? And now that they are married with their Kung Fu, what now happens when this husband, now you get, so
she was promoting domestic violence.
in a way, she did promote, but I think she did consider the aftermath of her what. But I would like to believe, yes, the economy is, and all aspects revolving around it, are those things that have broadly pushed the domestic violence within the very many homes in Uganda. You know, a person living with a hungry stomach is very desperate. Hungry man, yeah, definitely. Is very desperate. And now, money does very many things nowadays. Even women want to have some money to keep, just to keep. And you see it there. The one they refer to as a So if even the money the husband leaves home, the kameza, is not enough. One lady, I think she's called Maritza. She's a radio stroke TV presenter. Say for her, they leave for her kameza of around 1 million. So,
causing problems.
Yes, what happened in different homes, I really don't know. So, if this woman can't save from the kameza, she will become a hungry person.
Yes.
And I think it will lead her to become an hungry person. And when they become hungry, you know, at times their weapon of fighting is their body. So, these women at times don't know, apart from nowadays, they can also box. But nowadays, the other days, they will use the body so to frustrate this man. And when this man is
increase,
but if he doesn't have means, he will resort to fighting now, so that he can force his way through.
What message do you have for people outside there who are facing domestic violence and all the stuff, the children, the fathers, the mothers, the uncles, and everyone? Yes, sir.
You know, there is a saying, I don't know where it roots from. They say when two elephants are fighting, it is the grass that suffers. So whatever we're doing as parents, make sure you do it behind the scenes, behind the curtains, so that the children are not part. Then the other thing is that, as you say, poverty is the root cause. Yes, I suppose it in that way, because you know, when you're having money, you don't involve in some even simple quarrels you don't want. Then how about a fight? You will not even be close to that. So work hard, make sure you are out of the poverty lane. Make your bedroom a safe place where you settle issues, and make sure when it comes to issues of children, have a say from both parents. Make sure you discuss, because the kids do not belong to any individual. You got them together. Choose this person to be your lifetime partner. So why not discuss with her? You know, she might be knowing better things for the kids. And if I pull back to their single parents, especially single fathers, suffer a lot when it comes to children. They suffer emotionally. You know, you beat, you leave the kid with their stepmother, you're out, they will show you to him whatever they want. Many of us are victims, and I've seen that several times, especially the girl child tends to suffer a lot at the hands of the state mothers. I don't know if it is rampant nowadays, because back then it would be the issue. If you're a single parent, please look or have a special eye on your children so that you don't conflict the wife's rights and the children, because these people are totally different and you are the intersection of both of them. So make sure each of them you can hold their special rights away from the other and you don't conflict. That's my message.
Yes, David. What would you say about, what's your final message to people out there facing domestic violence?
Okay, I'll join what Innocent said. Domestic violence, the government has done what it can. It has put in place acts and what have you. But despite that, I was looking at the annual report of police. There is still an increase in domestic violence. This means that there is a lot that needs to be done at the grassroots. I join my friends that couples, before going into these relationships, maybe let's seek counseling whenever we have a problem. And I wouldn't advocate for fights. I, for one, would love to be in a relationship that doesn't have the physical fighting. Let's sit down and talk about issues. I'm sure in that conversation, they can be able to come up with solutions, because at the end of the day, it is the children that are suffering. Let your children grow up knowing that in marriages, maybe the fight, whenever you have a misunderstanding, sit down and talk about it. And also, parents need to be directly involved in their children's lives. We have parents that have these busy schedules from work, come back, sleep, and they're leaving these children in the midst. We all are witnesses of a situation whereby it was all over media. This maid was maltreating this child. It's not after the mother realized that the child has been going through this and they put some cameras. So look at an instance whereby that child maybe would have died. But we thank God she was saved. Yeah, so parents need to be directly involved in their children's life and instill the best morals in them. And also, there's a lot of mental illness. So maybe we need to have a lot of rehabilitation, and we also need media sensitization like the one we are having today. There's a lot of it that needs to be done. We go back to the grassroots and talk to these people, and maybe there should be mandatory counseling for couples to check on them always, and we shall have an end to domestic violence.
Thank you. Council Innocent.
Actually, I'll pick up from where my colleague has stopped. In that video where the lady was seen to be beating the child, it was later discovered that she was transferring all the anger she used to face when the bosses would be rough and tough towards her. So she would transfer all her anger to the children, like to the kid. But then my appeal to the bosses is that try to treat the mates very well, because these are the people you're going to leave your children under their care. So they will be in a scenario whereby there is no camera to tell you that whenever you're not around, this is what your child is going to be facing to you. And another thing is that we cannot imagine a situation whereby people are not conflicting with each other, because however much we deliberate that marriage should be very peaceful, we should accommodate the fact that marriage is comprised of the normal wear and tear. People always argue. If at all you can argue with your brothers and sisters, what about someone that you just met when you're already mature? So there's the normal wear and tear in the marriage, but then our appeal is that at least solve these issues maturely. If you feel you want to tag someone's skin for you to feel to cool down, go to the bedroom. Please don't do the things in the presence of the children, because whatever you're doing today, they are going to copy and do it tomorrow, and even their children will copy and do it the day after tomorrow, and this place will not come to an end. And that's my message.
Yes, finally, Council Chair.
My message is, one, that woman you married with the very good nyash that you want, the woman you married with the nice eyes, the woman you married with the good looking cheeks, And a woman you marry with those hips, please let her be with good things. For me, I'm for zero tolerance on violence. If you now take out this woman's eye through violence, or you hit this gentleman, and now this gentleman loses the arm, or the arm is amputated, who do you want to marry them now? You get it. So if you really feel like you want to beat someone, buy a punching bag at home. Put it somewhere, punch that one. Get a room where you can enter, throw cups around them. Then the other thing is bosses, both at work, the maids, at home, the askari at home, please. Let's treat the people that we employ very well, because we shall force those people to transfer their anger back to their homes, and those people they are taking care of, if alternatively they don't shoot at us. So please, it is either we treat each other as human beings, or we stay alone. Divorce that woman, divorce that man, rather than killing them. And the other thing is, I urge all the victims, please speak up. There was a story behind some time back where a gentleman was recorded hitting a woman. And when the woman goes to court, she tells the judge, you know, this is my husband, and he's the one taking care of the family, so I don't know what next. Madam, do you want to die? Is that better? Because this gentleman will marry after you are dead. So do you want to die? The victim should come out and help those people who are litigating on their behalf so that they can get justice. That is my message. And to the government, finally, please, the measures have to be very stringent. Let's punish violent people with something that is in a similar tone to violence. I think here they will now learn not to be violent to other people. It is very absurd that the society will beat up the chicken thief, but will not beat up that man or woman who is maltreating the other. So please, let's have those laws tightened enough so that violence can be kicked out forever and forever.
Thank you very much. We have had such a wonderful discussion with my panelists over the issue of domestic violence. We have seen the causes, effects, culture, the violence, and then what the government has done in the fight against domestic violence. All I can conclude what I can say while concluding is that do not remain silent in any aspect and case of domestic violence. Domestic violence in one way or the other is a threat to your life, is a threat to the community, and a threat to the country at large. Where you are facing domestic violence in a marriage, let it go. Where the marriage is not working, let it go. And where you feel you need help, come out to the public. If you are a woman, you can access FIDA, and if you are a man, you can access the police and other private counsel who will give you the rightful legal advice that you need. Never and ever think about taking the law in your hands against a weaker partner because you feel you have the energy, you have the authority over them. Do your best to ensure that women, children, men, and everyone is safe in the community. My name is Lenny Frank John Bosco, and I've been the moderator for this discussion on domestic violence. See you again next time. Remember to subscribe, like, and share the content on CMC 2022.